at this point. And I think there's a lot of opportunities for doing that in the future. We're happy to have the Encyclopedia of Earth be used as opportunities to meet goals of people. So if you're looking for ways to give students experience, that would be great. We don't really know who reads the Encyclopedia of Earth. So people that are interested in surveys and divining that kind of information, we'd be happy to work with people that were interested in that. There's a lot of research in communications that could be done here. How do people look at articles? How do people use articles? We'd be happy to let you use the resource. Tons of questions for informal science education research. If people are looking for somewhere to give unpaid internships and get experience to people involved with marketing, we'd be happy to talk to you. And then if people are really interested in the nuts and bolts of how the computer stuff works, I think there's opportunities for involvement there as well. Here's just some potential questions that I've been interested in and have never really bothered to explore. But who uses the Encyclopedia of Earth, and how do they differ from the average person that's looking at information about the environment? How do people find information about the environment? Do they Google it? What sorts of terms are they searching? What types of information is most useful to potential EOE users? And do different users require different information about a topic? So what do we need to be writing that's useful for a student? What do we need to be writing that's useful for the interested little old lady? And probably most importantly, if we can get them to read it, what should we be writing to provide information for policymakers and people that are making decisions? We don't know anything about that. So when I write an article, I'm sort of using my best experience as a guess, but I have no data to show you whether I'm effective or not. And then there's sort of interesting questions. We think it's very important to show that we have a resource that is written by knowledgeable people and undergoes peer review. That's important to me as a scientist. Is that important to the general public? Do people trust articles that have been written and approved by experts more than they do other sources of information? And I think it'd be a fascinating question since we live in Lubbock. How does information produced by experts, does how information produced by experts is valued depend on their educational background, political or religious beliefs? So would the people from Lubbock respond to this differently than they would at Berkeley? So I think there's a lot of potential questions that I don't really have the expertise to jump in on, but we've got a resource that interested people could use, and I'm certainly interested in collaborating. There is potential funding for this, which I know is very important at Texas Tech at this time. There at the National Science Foundation has a Advances in Informal STEM Learning program, and some of these grants are quite large. And so if there are groups of people that are interested in thinking about informal science education and we can play any role in that, please let me know. So I think at this time, this is really all I have to say, and I'd be happy to answer any questions and hope we can stimulate some discussion. Yes?
So I've done Wikipedia editing,
Okay.
and like you said, it doesn't have the bar of the review.
Yes.
So anything I think that you can do to integrate or integrate individuals to be able to overcome that obstacle as easily as possible while still maintaining the level of quality that you want,
Yes.
I think is good. I wanted to say that you can find out some of the answers to the questions that you had. I mean, there's definitely a survey aspect in asking someone directly the type of questions that you ask them really influence their responses as a social science type of method of design. So you might get with someone like that. And then also information behavior review might be useful. I know information scientists, I as an information scientist was required to do an information behavior review. You may find that in a library, school, or other information science PhD program, there may be a group or set of people who would want to investigate this. How do people find? What do they do when they find in an environment like that, where they are required to do those things as a process of their degree program. So, and I think that was all I had. But it sounds like a really neat project.
I think once people, to your first question, once you've been accepted as a potential contributor, then your access is easy. And so from the people that have access, then they're able to get in and do the changes as they wish. The Encyclopedia of Life has people that curates some of their information, but they don't send. They're actually a very interesting deal. If you're interested in sort of this, I said they're trying to get a page for every species, and now there's 1.4 or something million described species. What they have is some kind of electronic way of sweeping through a number of sources of information. And let's say we're talking about the green sea turtle, and they can get a paragraph about information on green sea turtles from some source, and then they put it into the Encyclopedia of Life. So when you go to that, there might be 6 different paragraphs that talk about the distribution of the green sea turtles. So the information is super valuable for a scientist. It's not at all organized in a useful manner for a scholar, or just for a general person.
General public.
But what they do is they have people that will go in and sort of rate the reliability of various things. But unlike the Encyclopedia of Earth, where if I want Jeff to review an article, we'll ask him to serve as topic editor. People do that when and how they want to. So again, that's working well for their audience and their participants, but it wouldn't work very well for our model. So at some level, you do need to have a sort of formalized review process that's defensible and happens. And that's proven difficult, because when you say, I want you to review something, the first response is, oh my God, this is a 30-page paper you're going to send me and it's going to take days. And often they're less than 2 pages, and you're just reviewing it. It takes a much shorter period of time. So there's some activation energy in getting people involved, but once they get involved, it's not too hard.
Oh, sorry, there was one other thing that I thought might be helpful, this I think is going to be more prevalent moving forward as people start monitoring their individual impact. If you can somehow incorporate ways to track impact factors related to article views, time spent in articles, and items of this nature, and be able to deliver that back to the creator of the content, then that would serve as an incentive for them to write, because then they could say, okay, well, I did this, and this is the impact that it has,
Does that capability exist now in things like Google? Is that easily accessible, or will that involve because that's a great idea, giving feedback that people can say to their chairs or even to themselves that this really is working?
Did you have something you?
Yeah, so it does exist in Google Analytics and other, our metrics, alternative metrics, and all that.
Okay.
They can. There's a way to add that to what you're doing. But just to add to what Jessica is saying, I think it's a great resource, especially for people in developing countries where they don't have access to up-to-date scientific information. One of the ways is getting involved with, I see people are involved with UNESCO, but there's the International Network for the Availability of Scientific Publications. They work directly with institutions in the South. And so maybe if you send information about them, if you get involved with them, they will put this on their website, and institutions in the South will probably be more interested, and they can probably collaborate with
okay, I'll try to get that info from you. That'd be great.
Right.
I've tried to start interaction. Like I say, I took a year sabbatical and tried to start groups in Malaysia. That did not work particularly well. Partially what I realized is that I thought, wow, the government's going to be really happy I'm going to do all this great environmental work, and they don't want me to do that because I'm going to tell them don't cut down their trees, and what they want to do is cut down the whole rainforest and make it oil palm. So you realize that government doesn't really care about good environmental information. I went and met with another group of university, and for a while they were gung-ho, and the president was all for it, then he leaves, and everything falls apart. So international collaborations sound great, but I've been less effective at it than I'd like.
Maybe smaller scale collaborations. I don't know if you've talked to anybody at CalU, the Center for Active Learning and Undergraduate Engagement, about the undergraduate research piece, that they have people that contact them that are interested in projects, and this might be more accessible
Yes.
for some
Yes.
than starting a lab or starting something like that. So
Yes,
that
I have some undergraduate students working with
Okay.
me through the Honors College. Caitlin will be doing a year-long
awesome. Yeah.
project. But those, but that's those entry-level people are often, there's places we can work with entry-level people.
Right, and so CalU might be a good
Okay.
resource for you there. And then also I wondered about some of the publicity or some of the marketing or maybe even some of the analytics, looking at service learning opportunities, and working with classes.
Okay.
And students that, need to, want to work on that marketing piece or something like that. And so getting in with some of your faculty colleagues and saying, hey, this could be a good project.
I'm gonna hit you for who I should be hitting up
And-
about these
right, I'll
things. 'Cause-
try and do brainstorming, but something like that again could further that educational purpose,
Yes.
and connection, as well as the awareness.
Yes,
So I
that
really-
would be fantastic, because I'm happy to pay them double what I get paid to do this, to do it, so.
Right.
If people can be getting real experience and real sort of class credit out of this kind of work, that would be great.
Right.
Yes, sir.
Well, have you applied to NSF? It seems that you could take this sort of piece and talk about ways of implementing them in informal or even more formal settings as an instructional kind of.
No, I have not, and so I think I need to. We're thinking that if we team up with the Encyclopedia of Life, they have the Harvard name behind them. They were originally funded by Hewlett Packard money. I think they started off with big money, and that grant has run out. So and we think that the two of us working together may be in a stronger position to start thinking about some of those programs. And I really haven't yet, but.
Yeah, it seems that you have the product now. I mean, one proposal to NSF would be, we're going to create the Encyclopedia of the Earth, but now you have it, so the flip side of that is to say, and this is how we can use it. It seems that there would be
Well, I
a
was
lot
just
of
gonna say,
different ways to go.
the data you have already, I think, would be really valuable in putting together that kind of a proposal, because I think you have a major leg up on a lot of potential competition, because you can show hundreds of thousands of worth of interest, and I think NSF would be very interested.
Which programs would you even?
With the informal.
Go in the informal science?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
I don't remember if it got archived, but iTest, and I'm trying to remember what the acronym stood for, but it involved innovative technology in the classroom for STEM areas, and I think that might have been another one. If it didn't, I think it's still active.
Yes.
This is sort of the creative kind of issue here. So in these off moments when you have nothing else to think about, do you ever kind of view this as a model that could be applied to something else? So you're thinking in terms of the Earth and the.
Yes.
But do you see this whole kind of piece, what you've put together, as kind of generalizable to something else, to another?
I think I would feel that more. The answer is I would feel that more if I was able to flesh out my model more effectively than I have.
Mhm.
But there's certainly nothing magical about the environment that that would allow this. This could be done for any topic you wanted. You're talking about getting a group of scholars working together to educate the general public. That should be a general phenomenon. And I've certainly never thought about trying to work with people in that way. So we have a model that's functioning, not as well as I'd like, but functioning maybe that we use that as a model to work with other people. I haven't really thought about it that way, but there's certainly no reason it doesn't work. It's just developing this community has been harder than I thought, and I don't know whether it's academics are not quite getting it, whether academics of my age are not quite getting it, and that the younger generation will be a lot more wiki-friendly.
Well, you know, I'm always suspicious of this informal science idea. You know, I'm not sure how much of that goes on. That is that maybe most of the education about these things, as minimal and as sort of sorry as it is, takes place in the classrooms, and that, you know, there really isn't a lot of informal interest. Maybe, you know, I went to a zoo when I was a kid. I don't know. And, you know, it was a big deal. You know, a whole afternoon, and you see all the animals, and you know, it was very enlightening. I don't know.
I think it's a lot more prevalent, especially in other cities. I'm on the board of environmental literacy and environmental education in the state of Texas, and I'm also involved with getting children outside as far as the state of Texas. And they would also have national movements and all that. And it's very, very prevalent, especially when you get larger cities like Austin, that area in Dallas. And I think that Lubbock, there's just not as many opportunities here in West Texas. But you get into different regions, especially in the state and even in the nation, and it becomes much, I mean, some states have environmental objectives written in their, you know, their learning objectives and their state assessments and all that. Texas, you know, of course, we know hasn't quite gotten there.
How robust is the mobile interface that does the content just to provide an easily?
The answer is I'm not even the right person to ask about that. I think
And the reason I asked was kind of in the same line of thought that maybe this would be the type of thing that a tour guide or someone who may have phone access or something like that might bring out to the field as an educational source and be able to show. I mean, I don't know how easy it would be to get them to do that, but they might start showing them, oh look, we're gonna look this up on earth.org, and then that's gonna raise awareness that this is a resource which could be referenced to address the environment that people are seeing in.
I think that's a great
idea.
I think that's sort of the intention of the man in Africa that's working with UNESCO, that he sees that as value to the access to that information is valuable to their tourist trade and other things. And so one of the things that I hope to chat about if I ever make it over there is how this is really going to work. And you talk about, I use this sitting at my computer in my office because I'm a sit in my computer in my office guy. You are all carrying it around in your pocket. Certainly in the field, it has to be workable on the pocket. And the way that this information is packaged and read this way might be different than the way it's read on a computer. And those are really great things to think about. And the answer is no, we really haven't.
Do you have a flyer or maybe a little bookmark or something like that you guys print up to promote Encyclopedia of Earth? Because I'm thinking of all these environmental conferences for environmental educators that are coming up. You could just print them and send it their direction. They could put them out on a table during their vendor fair.
We have had bookmarks. So
Okay.
if you think that's useful, let me go see if I can find some
think
cash
it's
to do
useful,
that and
I
spread
mean, I
them
know
around.
it's anti-environment because you're printing, but at the same time,
From what I've seen, those trying to advertise internet stuff on printed media doesn't work as well as having another website that has your address on it. Because that way, that's just something they need to click on, they're already there. But if you give them a form, they need to go to their computer, they need to keep it, they need to type it in. It's too clunky that way.
right,
as
so
opposed
they could maybe partner with some of these environmental education organizations and have your link on their website.
Yeah, linking from other websites.
And furthermore,
Seems to be much
that
better.
will increase your proximity value in
And
Google
get you higher on the
PageRank.
page.
That's a good call, yeah.
Do you have any sort of like Twitter, like social media?
We've had not Twitter. We've had a Facebook page. It's never really gone
Yeah.
anywhere. So
Okay, that'd be another thing to explore.
Okay.
It seems like Twitter would work well for that informal science education. If you have a Twitter that
See,
sort of explores that.
I've never tweeted. It's a mystery to me that such a thing still exists. But that's the kind of thing I need to talk to someone who's an expert on this and says, "Are you? You don't even have to be an expert to know way more than me."
Or you
Just
just
say-
tweet it to a hashtag and
Well, because the idea
and then it would come.
of tweet is sort of it's sort of as things are happening in the world, you can tweet, like a big fire happens in Colorado, you can tweet, hey, look at our article about
Oh, okay.
fires and stuff.
Okay.
It's sort of, you can hit the momentum of what people are thinking about right then.
Right at the
Okay.
moment.
And since it's,
Okay.
and since it's already like in electronic media, all they need to do is click a
Click.
link.
They click it open, they see it, and then they're like, oh, I gotta go
I
back
like
to
that.
this resource.
That,
Yeah,
it seems like
that was great.
a lot of people, I've seen a lot of people have success following that model
Okay.
and sort of, and internet
Okay,
media.
that's great. No, I like that. Thank you.
It's a great discussion. It's our time to shut down, so
Oh, much is
officially, I
distracted by
feel
that
like we
too.
should turn you loose,
So-
but I haven't heard that there's anybody in here after this, so as long as Dr. McGinley wants to hang around, we can keep the discussion going. But I wanted to thank all of you for coming. Our next STEM core seminar will be in early October, so keep an eye on tech announcement, that kind of stuff, and we'll be sending out the details. We'll be posting the recording of today's talk, so be sure to share that with folks that you think this resource would be valuable to. And it'll be on our website at just www.stem.ttu.edu. And we're on Twitter, the STEM Center's on Twitter, so feel free to give us a follow, shameless plug. I believe we're at TTU STEM. But so we'll also post a link to the video from Twitter and to the Honors College, and they can push that
Yes,
too.
okay, great.
So we'll try to make that available. But let's thank Dr. McGinley for that.
Thank you very much. If you have any questions about it or any interest, please let me know.